I'm Jean Schumacher, founder of the Plant-Based Academy, where I provide help, support, guidance, and resources to switch to a plant-based lifestyle and get your health back. Tonight, I have the privilege of connecting with Chef Del Sroufe. He is the author of The Forks Over Knives, The China Study Quick and Easy, The China Study Family Cookbook, and Better Than Vegan Cookbook. He is also the CNS Kitchen Culinary Specialist for the T. Colin Campbell Center for Nutritional Studies. So, Del, thank you so much for taking the time tonight.
Gene, it's always a pleasure. Looking forward to it.
Well, what's on the menu for tonight? Tell us.
We're going to make Johnny Marzetti. Now, if you're from anywhere outside of Columbus, Ohio, you may not have heard of Johnny Marzetti, right? Well, the Marzetti is an Italian restaurant that was here in Columbus for decades, downtown. And Johnny Marzetti was a dish that they prepared, a casserole that they prepared. That's become it's a classic here in Columbus, and you'll see it on menus every now and then. And this version came out on one of my cookbooks. And then we're going to make potato skins. I've been working on this recipe for a rice paper bacon, and it's something I found on the internet, and I was like, whoa, they make bacon out of anything, right? So I'm like, okay, we'll try it. So I'm still working out the kinks in this recipe, but it's pretty good. It's kind of crazy to look at. Let me show you. This is rice paper bacon.
Oh, good heavens. It looks just like it.
I know. It's very good. The flavor is right on, but it does, the borderline between crispy and burnt is razor thin. And so I've been erring on the side of chewy, the not burnt side. So it's a little chewy, but I think I'm going to work it out I've worked it out in my head to do it in a low heat in the air fryer to get it crispy without it burning.
All
So
right.
stay tuned. But tonight we're going to do it the traditional way, and we're going to make potato skins. We're going to make BLTs, one of my favorite sandwiches.
Take it away, Chef
All
Del.
right. We're making a sausage that goes into the Johnny Marzetti, and it's called millet sausage. I love this sausage. I make it into little patties, and I make breakfast sandwiches with it, or stuck it into pita with some sort of sauce or whatever kind of flavor. We start off with some onions. I've got millet cooking on the stove behind me. Cooked our onions. We've already started that. And you know me, I'm an oil-free cook, so we start off with just a dry skillet, add our onions in there. And you can see they've already been cooking. So as they start to brown, we add our garlic, and then we're going to add some sun-dried tomato. And look how dark those are. These are sun-dried tomatoes that don't have sulfites added, so they have that dark color. And then we've got fennel, sage, and somewhere around here is crushed red pepper. It disappeared. Sage and then crushed red pepper, and then we'll just cook this up for a minute to toast those spices. Anyway, we're making a millet sausage. I may have mentioned that earlier. You'll get the recipe for this, but we've sauteed onion, garlic, fennel, sage, sun-dried tomato. And when that's all cooked up, we're going to add in some nutritional yeast. We're going to add in some flaxseed, some tamari or soy sauce, and then we're going to add in our cooked millet. And one of the tricks to getting this millet to hold together, when you make this recipe, you want to make sure you overcook the millet rather than undercook it. All right, if you have to have a choice, you want it a little bit gummy because that's how it holds together. All right, if that makes sense. And then we need a little bit of salt. Or salt optional if you don't use it. Take this and then mix it up and shape them into patties. But we're going to use it in our Johnny Marzetti as the protein portion of that dish. So we don't really need to do that, but I'm going to set it aside while we make the rest of the Marzetti, and then I'll show you how we add this back in. But let me mix this up. You want to mix this up really nicely so that all of your spices make it through all of the millet. If you're not familiar with millet, millet is a gluten-free grain from North Africa, Europe, Southern Europe, and Western Asia. It's often eaten as a porridge for breakfast, but the ancient Romans used to eat they used to make kind of a flatbread pizza type thing out of it. So it's rather interesting. Perfect. Spices come through beautifully. So I'm going to set that aside. Need a big skillet. And then we're going to take, we got 2 onions that we've chopped. And 8 ounces of button mushrooms or baby bell mushrooms sliced. And we're going to let those cook. And then while those are starting to cook, again, no oil, right? Just started it off oil-free. That's the way to live. I'm going to go ahead and start on the cheese sauce. This is a new for me recipe of cheese sauce. I wanted a cheese sauce that I could take on the road. When I'm traveling, I take my kitchen with me sometimes. So my usual cheese sauce, which you'll find in the China Study Family Cookbook and online at C&S Kitchen, we have a whole ebook of cheese sauce recipes. Everything from mac and cheese to broccoli, rice, casserole, etc. It's usually made with cooked potatoes. This one we're making with mashed potato flakes. And you can find potato flakes that are just potatoes, right? You don't want to find those that have other added ingredients. But we're making this instant cheese sauce. And so I've added nutritional yeast. I've added the potato flakes. I'm adding arrowroot powder, which is going to be part of our thing. Thickener, and then I've got some onion powder, smoked paprika for flavoring, and tahini gives it that kind of tang. Juice of 1 lemon, more or less a taste. If you want to tangy your sauce, you can add more. And then we're just going to puree that all. And you can see how creamy that is. All right, onions cooking, doing their thing, onions and mushrooms. Not adding water yet. As it starts to brown, you can see the browning happening in the bottom of the pan. Add water only if you need to, if you get some sticking. 1 or 2 tablespoons, no more than that. Because you're not trying to steam those vegetables, you're trying to brown them. Browning is flavor. Browning caramelizes the sugars and proteins and builds flavor in that recipe. So while that's cooking, you can see how well that's browning, right? A nice browning going on. And while it finishes up, I'm going to start on our potato skins because you want to get these in the oven. I mixed together onion powder, garlic powder, paprika, and sea salt. And I'm just going to sprinkle that on the potatoes after. So you see what I've done? I've carved out the insides. Those insides that I took out, I'm going to eat as a snack later. But then I spice these up as much as you want or as little as you want. And then we're going to throw those in the oven for 10 minutes. You can see the browning going on in our pan. Look at that beautiful caramelization. You want all of that flavor to come up off that pan, so put a little bit of water in there and scrape that up. Add our garlic in here and our oregano. You can add basil. Then let that cook for just a minute to sort of bloom those spices. Now, there are 3 components to this, so this is maybe a Sunday special, but you're going to get a big batch of it, and that's great. And take that, divide it up, put part of it in the freezer if you want to, or serve it to guests, or whatever you want to do. Let that cook for just a minute. See how the onions cook down, the mushrooms cook down. That's concentrating our flavor. And then we're going to add a 28-ounce can of tomatoes. It's calls for diced, but you can use crushed, which is what I'm using today. Again, stir, scrape that goodness off the bottom there. The flavor is amazing. This is made with rice paper, and if you cook it just right, it'll get nice and crispy. If you undercook it, it'll be a little more chewy. If you overcook it, it burns very easily, so you've got to pay attention to it. I was thinking, and I might have been talking to Jean before you guys came on, that I think my future iteration, future version of this recipe will be cooking it at a low temperature around 200 degrees for a longer period of time so that it doesn't burn, but then gets nice and crispy. So check back with me and see if that happens, or try it on your own in your own kitchen. Take half of it and try it at that lower temperature. Maybe cook it instead of it's 8 to 10 minutes at 400 degrees. Try it at 200 degrees for maybe 20 minutes and see how it goes. But it's really, the flavor is amazing, and I'm a big BLT lover, so I'm kind of excited to be able to have it. But here's how you make it. There's a marinade, and this marinade has nutritional yeast, tamari, water, maple syrup, onion powder, garlic powder, and smoked paprika and black pepper. All right, you mix that up, and then you get yourself some rice paper wrappers. These are spring roll wrappers that you'll find in the Asian section of most grocery stores. And they're nothing but rice starch and water, usually. This just has some tapioca starch in it. Rice, tapioca starch, salt, and water. And you take one of them, do one at a time, and you put it into that marinade like this. Coat one side, turn it, coat the other side, and then put that onto a surface where you can cut it once it gets set up. And then you're going to do another sheet just like that. We'll only do part of this tonight because I've already got some going. Put it into your marinade. Make sure you coat that bottom side really, really well. And coat that other side. And then you lay that second layer on top of the first layer. And then we're going to let that sit for about 10 minutes and do its thing. But when this is tender enough, it should slice very easily. It takes about 10 minutes. Let me taste our Marzetti sauce and see how we're doing. I taste garlic and oregano. That's what we want. We're going to season that. Black pepper. I'm a generous guy on the black pepper. You know, mushrooms are a very popular meat substitute if you don't want a processed food. Like, you know, seitan and all these other meats that are on the market are full of chemicals and other ingredients. Well, mushrooms are just mushrooms, and they have a great texture. The longer they cook, the chewier they get. So they're a good one for adding to any number of dishes. All right, so once our sauce is cooked up, we're going to finish it off. And you probably want to take your millet sausage and just sort of crumble it up a little bit. You don't want it too big of a piece up in there. But you can do that also in the pan. So add that back into the pan. And then we're going to add our I've already cooked, it's supposed to be elbow macaroni, but my grocery people delivered me whole wheat penne today, so that is what we're using. And by the way, if you have a pan like this one, this is a stainless steel pan, and it doesn't have any plastic on it. You could bake this dish right in this pan, so you don't have to dirty another.
I have used millet myself and used it in millet squares. And so this was a recipe that I'd gotten from Dr. McDougall once upon a time, and it's on the website Simply Plant Based. But you made millet squares with different types of toppings on it, and it worked out really well.
Oh, nice.
It made a nice little kind of like almost like a polenta square, kind of thing.
Was it savory?
Yes, it was. It was. So.
You guys, you'll notice I taste as I cook. I always have. My mama did.
And how is it? Come on, you're killing us.
It's going to be very good. By the time you get that cheese sauce on there and get that baked off. So do you guys mind? I want to cook it right in here.
Go for it.
Need half of our cheese sauce because we're using the other half for our potato skins. Spread that across the top. That cheese sauce is going to have that depth of flavor, that's some umami. All right. And then top it off with some breadcrumbs made from my loaf from today. You can tell it's getting to be towards the evening. I'm a sloppy chef at night. You can sprinkle out a little salt and pepper if you want it, just for some added boost flavor. And that goes into the oven. A pan lined with a silicone liner. And then just put it onto that. And again, the longer you soak this, I think the more tender it'll become. But you might be able to put it on a plastic wrap, put plastic over it and do it overnight. Do it the night before you want to serve it. This is going to be, so we're doing it with what today? I'm making BLTs, potato skins, and then I'm making, I crumble this up on a salad. Anywhere that you might put crumbled bacon. And make a good breakfast sandwich, of course. Now I make a big batch of this marinade because I think it works better. So you might try doubling or tripling the marinade. You want to really saturate the rice paper. And there's that.
One of our people loves curry, and she finds that cooking it without oil does not allow the curry to bloom. Do you have any suggestions?
Yeah, and my suggestion comes directly from a friend of mine who is an Indian chef who says that you'll find a lot of chefs in India dry toast their seasonings, their spices. So you can dry toast them. I've had a lot of success with that. We're going to add our cheese sauce. To the potatoes.
Oh, that looks so good.
Right?
You're killing me, Dal.
Well, I wish you were here because I'm going to probably try and save these for our company coming tomorrow. We're going to do our little first cookout of the season. It's going to be warm here. And then we're going to throw that back into the oven and let that get all bubbly.
Well, while you're doing that, I just want to talk about some of the benefits of tomatoes in that dish because tomatoes are a huge source of antioxidant like the lycopene. It's been linked to a lot of health benefits, including reduced risk of heart disease and cancer. And they're a great source of several vitamins and minerals, such as like vitamin C, potassium, vitamin K, folate. They also have beta carotene, which is pretty amazing. It's an antioxidant that gives it the yellow or orange hue, and it's converted to vitamin A in your body. So some of the studies show that tomatoes and tomato products can reduce your risk of heart disease and several cancers. So this fruit, it is a fruit. It's beneficial for skin health, and it may help you against sunburns.
Well, speaking of tomatoes, it's early in the season for tomatoes, but here we are on our BLT. And we're getting this recipe, but I went ahead and made this ahead of time, my mayonnaise. It's a simple silken tofu with lemon juice, onion, garlic, and mustard, just salt added to it. The recipe, I think, says spread the sandwich with the bread with mayonnaise first. Here's the thing: the silken tofu. This has cashews in it too, but the silken tofu is a very moisture-heavy thing. So I like to put my mayonnaise down first. A little bit too much there. Are there BLT lovers in the crowd, or is it just me?
Oh, no, I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you.
And then our tomato, let me find a thinner slice. Well, that probably works. Our tomato. And then because these are a little bit chewy, I'm going to break them up a little bit so they're easier to chew. But if they're nice and crispy, off you go.
Gosh,
The
that
thing
looks
is,
just like it.
these are better. This bacon's better fresh out of the oven. Is when it's crispest. If you have all those things on hand, you make your bacon, you have that on hand, you've got a sandwich in just a few minutes. Let me talk about CNS Kitchen really quickly. If you've not heard of us, a part of the T. Colin Campbell Center for Nutrition Studies, CNS Kitchen is a community of over 13,000 members, and we are there to support each other as we adopt or maintain a whole food plant-based lifestyle. It's a wonderful community. We have guest chefs that come in. Our Getting Started course is a free course on adopting a whole food plant-based diet. Jean Schumacher, when are you coming again, Jean?
I will be back in September. Denise had a question. She wants to know that if she uses coconut aminos to cut down on sodium, could she use that instead for the substitution in the bacon?
Yeah, as you know, it has its own distinctive flavor, but sure, you sure can. This is our bacon just out of the oven. You can see it's just about a little bit overboard there. So it's you got to catch it right on time and pay attention to it. You could, with your twice thick cake, I'm going to pull them out early so we're not here all night. Do them up here so you can see the finished product.
Anything with avocado on it is going to be amazing, please.
Yes, yeah, this isn't going to make it to my potluck tomorrow, I'm afraid. There's breakfast and lunch to be had. And then we're going to take our bacon. Easier by hand. But if you this will be easier, by the way, again, if you do the bacon hot out of the oven. So cook it right when you need it and don't store it, spend too much time storing it because it gets longer it sits outside of the oven, the chewier it gets and the more, I mean, it's still chewable. It still tastes great, but it's a little more harder to manage in the mouth than it otherwise would be. And this is our potato skins.
Oh, wow.
Right? That's
That
almost
looks delicious.
I don't know if you can see that or not.
Ooh, look at that.
That is Johnny Marzetti, my friends.
Okay.
It's going to make you very, very happy. And I think I did it.
You did. Good heavens. Well done to you. You made some amazing dishes tonight, and you continue to inspire me, honestly. What are some of your other favorite comfort dishes?
You know, I I just recently, and I think it'll be in my cookbook, learned how to make a pie crust that didn't suck. And here's what I mean. I wanted a pie crust that mimicked a traditional pie crust, not real flaky. It didn't have to be real flaky and fatty, but it had a little bit of, it had a crispness to it. It was more than just a nuts and dates. And I found one. So I make a dish I used to make in my one of my kitchens for my meal delivery service was a spinach quiche. Spinach, mushrooms, and red peppers, and a nice pie crust. It was delicious. I love. Like I have a couple of casseroles that are in some of my books. I do a Chilean bean stew. There's too many to. Gene, this is hard. Chilean bean stew is one of my favorites. It's a summer dish in Chile, but it's a hearty dish with squash and pinto beans and basil and corn and garlic. I love black bean chili. My dad used to make chili and then put baked cornbread on top of it, casserole style. And I love that. I do a Moroccan shepherd's pie that is lentils spiced with cumin and lemon and spinach and then topped with a sweet potato topping for a crust. I make a couple other shepherd's pie, a root vegetable shepherd's pie that we did for the holidays. Pot pie, now that I have the crust, I'll do my traditional pot pie. I make a lot of pot cream sauces to serve with pasta, and then I make soy curl chicken and make it chicken and basil and red peppers and cream and pasta. Probably my favorite dish I make more than anything is my oven fried tofu because it tastes the most like my mom's fried chicken. I make it into barbecue tofu. It shows up in several ways in several dishes like tofu cacciatore. So there's the number of comfort dishes is endless, and I think I'm just discovering them.
Well, do you find that you go through, I mean, I do. I go through cycles. Like right now I'm on a mushroom and barley soup craze.
Okay.
I've been making that for quite a bit, and that is just a deliciousness. And then I'll get tired of it and then move on to something else, you know?
Oh yeah, I do the same thing. And one of the things that you'll see commonly in my kitchen, besides oven fried tofu, is my millet loaf. It's kind of a meatloaf made with millet, and I love it. I make and my favorite way to eat it is meatloaf sandwiches with mustard, whole wheat bread, and millet loaf, and I'm a happy guy. And meatballs, I'll make it into meatballs. I just posted in Cena's Kitchen. I post a recipe every Monday, and this past Monday's recipe was a sweet and sour tofu dumpling with a pineapple sweet and sour sauce. It's delicious.
So thank you so much, Dal, and we'll be back in touch. You said you'd be back again in October, so I can't wait to see what we're going to be doing for the fall and fall dishes. So thank you so much, and thank you everybody for joining us tonight. We'll see
Thanks,
you
everybody.
again. And join Chef Dal in the CNS Kitchen.